Dear students, now let's begin with your Prose 4 Tight Corners Part 2 written by E.V. Lucas. To my surprise and horror, the red-faced dealer gave no sign of life. I realized now, as I ought to have done at first, that he had shot his boat. So, this author expected a reply from the red-faced man, but there was no reply from him. He was completely silent. 4,050 guineas offered, said the auctioneer, again searching the room. My heart stopped, my blood congealed. There was no sound but a curious smothered noise from my friend. 4,050 guineas. Any advance on 4,050 guineas? And the hammer fell. So the auctioneer announced that 4,050 guineas is going to be offered. Anyone else is there to bid again. But there was no any amount rising because already 4,050 is a great amount. So nobody was ready to raise their voice. What was happened to the author? He felt like his heart has got stopped and my blood congealed. Congealed means his blood was getting frozen. There was no sound. It was completely silent, but there was a smothering noise, a little sound from his friend. And the auctioneer was asking to the author, any advance on 4,050 guineas? Are you ready to pay any advance? And then finally the hammer fell and the picture was given to the author. That was a nice pickle to be in. Here was I with 63 pounds in the world and not 500 pounds worth of securities, the purchaser of a picture which I didn't want for 4,050 guineas, the top price of the day. So author was thinking that was a nice pickle. Nice pickle means a difficult position which he was. Because he did not even have 63 pounds or even he can't borrow some 500 pounds because of his lack of securities. But now he has purchased a picture which he did not even want because he had participated in the auction only just for fun. Okay, but now he is going to purchase the picture for 4,050 guineas, the top price of the day, the top auction price of the day. Turning for some kindly support to my friend, I found that he had left me, but not as I feared at the moment from baseness, but as I afterwards discovered, in order to find a remote place in which to lean against the hall and laugh. So he was looking for his friend because he needs some support at the time because he was in his tight corners. But his friend was not there. Fortunately, where was he? Was in some remote corner of the hall and he was leaning on the hall and laughing at his friend. Stunned and dazed as I was, I pulled myself together sufficiently to hand my card nonchalantly to the clerk who came for the milliner collector's name, and then I set to pondering on the problem what to do next. So he was handing on the card to the clerk, and he was pondering on the problem means thinking about the problem what to do next because he did not have money with him. Picture after picture was put up and sold, but I saw none of them. Continuously the pictures have been raised and the other actions have been going on, but this author was not ready to look at it. I was running over the names of uncles and other persons from whom it might be possible to borrow, but wasn't, wondering if the money lenders who talk so glibly about note of hand only really mean it. He was thinking about to whom we should borrow, this uncle or this aunt. He was thinking names after names. But what would they will also ask for? They will also be asking for some security, some note of hand. Speculating on the possibility of confessing my poverty to one of the Christie staff and having the picture put up again. That was the best way, and yet how could I do it after all the bids I had made? The staff looked so prosperous and unsympathetic, and no one would believe it was a mistake. A genuine mistake of such a kind would have been rectified at once. He was also thinking that why don't we tell to some of the staff from Christie's? Why don't I tell my position to them? He was thinking in such a way, but what would their next question be? They would be asking him that how did you bid for this much time if you had no money? They would ask that obviously, right? So he was thinking that they will also not believe that I have no money, and they are also looking very unsympathetic. A genuine mistake of such a kind would have been rectified at once. If it was a genuine mistake, then it is okay, but this is not genuine. He did it wantedly. Meanwhile, the sale came to an end, and I stood on the outskirts of the little knot of buyers round the desk who were writing checks and giving instructions. Naturally, I preferred to be the last. So finally, the auction has came to an end, and all the people who bought those pictures were standing in the outskirts of the little knot, and they were planning to finish their formalities, and they were getting the pictures, and they were listening to the instructions. Naturally, I preferred to be the lost. The author was the lost. It was there that I was joined by my friend, but only for a moment, for on a look at my face, he rammed his handkerchief in his mouth, and again he disappeared. His friend came there, and again he got disappeared. Alone I was to dread this awful weird. I have never felt such a fool or had colder feet in all my life. I believe I should have welcomed a firing party. So he's telling that I did this for myself. I've never been in this kind of tight corners in my life at all. So I consider this as my fate. This happened to me wantedly because he himself participated in the bid, though he knew that he did not have any amount with him. And then the unexpected happened, and I realized that a career of rectitude sometimes has rewards beyond the more consciousness of virtue. So now something unexpected, something good is happening to the author. A voice at my ear suddenly said, "Beg pardon, sir, but was you the gent that bought the big Daubigny?" So he was hearing a voice, and the voice was asking that, "Are you the one who has bought the big Daubigny picture?" That picture which the author has bought is Daubigny picture. I admitted it. So the author is also accepting that he has bought that big Daubigny picture. Well, the gent who offered 4,000 guineas wants to know if you will take 50 guineas for your bid. He was asking that the man who offered 4,000 guineas is asking that he's asking if you would take 50 guineas for your bid. He's ready to offer you 50 guineas. So can you give that picture? If ever a messenger of the high gods wore a green baize apron and spoke in husky cockney tones, this was he. I could have embraced him and wept for joy. Would I take 50 guineas? Why, I would have taken 50 farthings. So, by the time, how did the author feel? He did not have any amount in his bank balance. He just had 63 pounds with him. By that time, when this man was coming and speaking to him, he felt he was like a messenger of God. He felt like he was like a representative of God, who was wearing a green woolen cloth and speaking in a husky cockney tone. Cockney tone means a kind of harsh voice. I could have embraced him and wept for joy, because by the time he did not have any money. Would I take 50 guineas? Why would I need 50 guineas? I would have even taken if it was 50 farthings. Farthings means as low as a paisa. Even below a lowest amount than that, I can even accept that. He was thinking in that way. But how near the surface and ready even in the best of us is worldly guile? Is that the most he would offer? I had the presence of mind to ask. Though this author had no money, using his presence of mind, what is he asking? 50 guineas is not enough for me. So is that the most he would offer? It's not for me to say, he replied. No harm in trying for a bit more, is there? So he was asking that you can try even some more. Tell him I'll take 100, I said, and I got it. Finally, this author was bidding for 100, and also he got it. Remember, he did not have any money. He just played it for fun. Finally, he also got the amount of 100. When I found my friend, I was laughing too, but he became grave at once on seeing the check. Seeing the check, that 100 guineas offered to him, his friend got shocked, serious. Well, I'm hanged, he said. I'm hanged means I'm surprised. Of all the luck, well, I'm hanged. This author was also telling I'm hanged too. Then he said, don't forget that it hadn't been for me, you wouldn't have come into Christie's at all. I shall never forget it, I said. It is indelibly branded in letters of fire on my heart. My hair hasn't got white, has it? So he was telling that I will never forget this incident in my life. That friend was also telling, if I had not been here, he wouldn't have come into Christie's at all, because he was the one who brought him into Christie's. And this author was also telling, I'll never forget this. Even if I get old, I'll never forget this. This will be branded in letters on fire of my heart. A short summary of the lesson, tight corners. In the essay Tight Corners, E.V. Lucas points out that tight corners can be both mental as well as physical, but the mental tight corner is too much to bear. Once the narrator went with his friend to Christie's, an auction sale hall, where Barbizon pictures were put up. The narrator knew nothing about art pictures nor had enough money to participate in the bidding. He had only £63 and that too in the bank. He had no securities either. The auction started and the narrator, not understanding the seriousness, started raising the bid amount marginally. By the time a Daubigny picture was put on sale, a rich man paid 4,000 guineas for it. As usual, the narrator just for fun raised the bid by 50 guineas more. Lucas thought that someone would raise the bid further, but to his amazement, nobody else bid after that. The narrator was panic-stricken. No doubt he unwittingly got into a mental tight corner. He could not find ways as how to raise such a huge amount. Sensing the danger, his friend had already left the place. Finally, the narrator decided to confess his foolishness to the auctioneer himself and get rid of the critical situation. All of a sudden, this unexpected happened. At the time, the rich bidder's agent came and offered 50 guineas provided he passed on the art picture to the first bidder. The narrator was immensely relieved. He was about to weep in joy, yet he had the presence of mind to demand 100 guineas. When a check for that amount was given to him, his joy doubled. Thank you for listening.